I won't make it easy for you now. You got 2 minutes of my time, and I don't really break too easily, but I'm worth it, 'cause I'll slip into your dreams tonight. Oh, so give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Oh, so give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind.
Just watch me. Just watch me.
I got you wrapped around my finger, but don't you try to call me tomorrow. There's nothing personal in having a little fun. You wait and see if it's worth your while. Oh, so give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind.
Just watch me.
Give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind.
Just watch me. Watch me. Just watch me.
Last night we had something. Tonight I'll be guessing, but I don't really have a case. You don't have to mention, you just like their attention. It's written all over your face. I don't wanna play the quiet type when I'm near you, reading old messages on my phone every time I see you. Tell me, is this part of an act, just to keep your image intact? If you think that strategy's smart, I'm not gonna defend my beating heart. Defend my beating heart. You knocked on my window and slept on my pillow, then said you had found your place. Not sure if I want this. You don't think that I notice. This isn't like giving you space. I don't wanna play the quiet type when I'm near you, pretending that I don't know who you are every time I see you. Tell me, is this part of it?
What's up, y'all? Sean here. Happy Tuesday night studio session time. Tonight's going to be pretty chill. I am just opening up the forum to bring anybody in who wants to talk. There's going to be some rules. You know, I don't want to get my channel banned because I got, some racy topics or anything like that. But if you guys look, I'll go ahead and share the screen. Just so you guys can see it. And it's going to be kind of weird because this is going to be me and me. But as you guys can see in the chat, click on this guy. There is a link right there. Okay. If you click on that link, you can come into the chat and hang out. So I'm going to be clicking on that from time to time. Or I'm going to be talking about that from time to time. If nobody shows up, then we're just going to hang out. And you guys are going to chat and I'm going to talk. But I'd really like for some people to come in and hang out. Went on Grumpy Vlogger's channel last night and had a good time talking. And I kind of just want to continue that over here tonight. So nothing scripted, nothing planned. So that's what that's all about. So feel free to come in if you want to. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me know if you guys can see me. And kind of what the temperature of the chat is. I'm a little chill tonight. I've had a long day. Took my mother to the hospital for she's having some cancer removed. So that's what we did today. I didn't work any. I was going to do that and then take half a day at work. But I ended up staying out longer than I wanted to. So I just decided to take the whole day off. Since I was downtown or close to downtown, went out to Fannie Mae Park, which has this nice mosaic dragon, and took my Insta360 One X2 and actually did some field tests today. I've been such a hermit since this COVID had started that it's hard for me to get out. So it was fun to get out and do that today. Got to eat some San Antonio tacos from the San Antonio Taco Company downtown. So yeah, and I'm already starting to feel the heartburn from that. But they're so good. So what have y'all been up to? I saw Eat More Possum is still modifying his SMO 4K because it's those little white connectors are really weak. So that's pretty neat. I was curious, Brent, if they have any. Do I have an example here? I don't have an example. But on a lot of my tattoo batteries that I got, they have, oh, Brett's in the house. Well, I can just talk to him. Don't even have to chat anymore. Let's see, which one do we want to do? We want to do that one. Eat More Possum in the house. What's up?
Hey, man, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yep. Sound good? You look good?
Sweet.
I see you got your fleet in the background. It's growing.
Yeah. I've crashed them all except the baby crocodile.
You crashed? Oh, you haven't crashed the croc yet?
That's right. Its time is due, though. It's inevitable.
Yep. Well, cool. We got someone else popping in, so let's see what John Denver's all about. What's up? All right.
Did you run off?
Couldn't hear him, but it looked like he had a really cool electric guitar.
Yeah.
He was going to play us a ditty, but he left the city.
Yeah, you said you were off today, right? Off of work?
Yeah, I ended up taking the day.
Yeah.
It was about 2:00 when I got done with everything, and I'd planned on taking like my little breaks and doing some test videos of the Insta360, but I got out and there's a beautiful theater here in Nashville right next to where my mother was going to the doctor. So I set up in the parking lot. I have my I bought a boom pole from Newer, and it stretches out about. Each section's about as tall as me, so it has 3 sections. So it's maybe like 15 feet. And got that all set up.
Is that the one you used on the previous video where you were in the park, and it looked like you were flying over the buildings? It was so tall that. Selfies.
So it's not that one.
Okay.
That was an Insta360, like made by Insta360, and it was carbon fiber, and it, I don't think it can handle the weight, so it like bends, kind of bows. Still invisible, but it bowed, so I didn't like that. So I wanted to get a stronger one, but this one is exactly the same height as that one. But cool. It's nice and aluminum, and it's got a nice foam grippy thing.
Did you do that Dragon Tiny Planet today?
I did.
That was pretty cool. The way you had it framed right in the middle of that. Yeah,
I had the arch kind of going over my head.
Yeah.
I messed up some of that shoot because I did the rig that I sent you a picture of, where I had the Rode Wireless Go coming off of the side, and there's a tiny little sliver, just a little black sliver in every video that I did. So I need to modify the 3D printed mount that I did. I need to make it a little bit shorter, and I think we'll be good.
Yep.
But
yeah, I was off work yesterday, and I'll be off work tomorrow because we have 0.06 millimeters of ice on the road.
Oh, wow.
Tiny little bit.
Yeah. That's what we get here. We don't get snow. We get ice.
Yeah. We just can't handle it here in Oklahoma.
Oh, we can't handle anything in Nashville.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm from Indiana, and they didn't have snow days in Indiana.
Right.
Down here in Nashville, like a flurry or even a chance.
Right.
Like a chance of snow tomorrow morning, school's canceled at midnight.
Yep, that's what's going on here. Yep.
So that's funny. I have a story when I was dating my wife. I used to have this Jeep Wrangler, and it was up on 30-inch mud tires, and I think it had a 2-inch lift on top of that. But there was this nice stretch of road. It was a big hill, and it had big curbs on both sides of it. And I said to my wife, I was like, watch this. And so I kind of floored it a little bit, and then I slammed on the brakes and turned my wheel a little bit. So we went into kind of this spin all the way down the hill. And luckily I recovered before we got to the main road. But we bounced side to side off the curb a couple times. But it was a good time. So have you been piecing that SMO 4K back together? Didn't you say or are you ripping the connectors out of your drones?
Yeah, ripping the connector out almost to where it was bent. So I figured that stress would at some point, pull the solder off. And that's a surface mount connector, and it's almost impossible to get those soldered back on, especially if it rips the solder joint.
Yeah.
And it's inevitable. I mean, twice it pulled that power cord backwards, which would put a lot of stress on it. I'm surprised it didn't break, but so far so good. And I did have to take it apart because I put the SD card in there, but it missed the slot and actually went between the circuit board and another circuit board, and it fell inside the SMO.
Oh,
Because it's kind of janky the way they have it. It's kind of,
yeah.
if you don't aim it just right, you're gonna miss it. So
Yeah, my iFlight Bumblebee has the SD card. Like there's the ducts that go like this, and then you stick the SD card in right in the middle of one of those ducts. So you have to stick your finger under the drone, and then you kind of drop it down in there, and then you take your little finger and kind of jimmy it around until you get it in the slot.
Yeah.
And then you take a screwdriver and shove the SD card in. And
yeah. The SMO, sometimes I have to use needle nose pliers to get it out between. It's not very well designed.
Yeah, it's like getting a guitar pick stuck in the acoustic guitar, and then you keep shaking it upside down, trying to get it out of the hole. Yeah. So, I was going to ask you something. So, I'm getting spammed a lot on the club.
Russians.
This Russian maid service. I mean, it's every day I get like 4 more users, and I'm excited. And then I see that they're all Russian people, and not that I don't like Russians. Don't get me wrong, but they're all like just spam, or I need to speak to the administrator immediately. And then how do I post? And then which all those I understand are fine. I'm sure there are a lot of people that don't understand how to use the site, but then it's just, so I'm building up a blocked list of different IP addresses, but it's all random. It's all, I have a feeling it's a spider, or like just I don't know if it's considered a spider, but it's automated service that's just going in and hitting my server as much as it can. So I'm thinking about switching over to Discord. So do you have any opinions on that?
I've really never used it. I think I joined Ready Set Drones Discord once. Because when I logged into yours, I was already a member of his. I'd forgotten that I had actually joined his one time. I guess all the kids are doing it, right? Discord?
Yeah. Yep, it's the new thing. The idea that I have is PHP-BB is very old school and very compromised. Just like WordPress. Like if your PHP is not up to date, and if your security on your certificate's not up to date, then people can hack your website. I think PHP-BB, there's like this, I feel like my whole web server is going to get hacked because I've got that old technology up there. So it was fun while it lasted. But it's not getting the traction that I wanted it to get. I know it'll take time, but I'm spending more time kicking people off than I am enjoying videos and photos from people. So
yeah, a lot of work keeping those spammers out of there.
Yep.
So are you seriously thinking about potentially the new FPV drone that DJI's coming out with?
So it definitely checks all my boxes. Like the live stream that I did last week, I was just kind of making stuff up. I didn't have anything that I'd seen anybody else do. I was just looking at the pictures and making up stuff that I think, like from my perspective, owning multiple DJI drones and kind of watching the company as they go. Like the first DJI drone that I had was the standard Phantom 3, and it was like they had just started making smart batteries. Like, you know, it seems like the Phantom 2, or it's either the Phantom 1 or the Phantom 2, where the lipos were just like ours. Like on the FPV drones, they had the XT60 connectors, and you plug things in. And so when they were kind of the first first company that I know of that kind of put a smart battery in something. Parrot Bebop had a chargeable lipo, like they had a smart charging system, but it was still kind of lipo-ish. Unique Typhoon drones are very kind of finicky. They can get bloated and all that kind of stuff. So there's still lipos in there, but the charging system is what's been updated. So I'm definitely planning on looking at it. It looks like Eat More Possum got kicked out. I don't know if that's my fault or if that's his. Brent kicked himself out. Looks like it. So I'm going to use this opportunity to doctor up the chat a little bit. And hopefully he'll come back in. But this is his excuse. So if you guys missed last week's live stream, we talked about the DJI FPV drone that's supposedly coming out maybe next week. I'm thinking about selling a couple of my drones just to pre-order or order it, or however that's going to work. But what terrifies me about it is the speeds that I saw someone else talk about. Because I watched Ken Heron's live stream a little bit with Ken Dono, and they talked about how fast it goes. Like they had actually flown it, and they talked about how fast it goes. And there he is. He's back.
Sorry about that. Push the wrong button.
Yep, I did that the other night too. So, yeah, I'm thinking about getting it, but I mean, if it's $1,500, I don't know that I will get it.
Yeah.
If the DJI goggles and like the FPV goggles and the FPV controller work on it, like the original ones, then I will probably get it if they have like a $800 version.
Yeah, that's the question, because I thought I saw somebody speculate that only the version 2 goggles would work with the FPV.
Yeah, I
know.
might have said that on my stream, just because I feel like they released the version 2 goggles because they're about to release the FPV drone.
Yeah, it could be true.
Maybe I started that rumor. I don't know.
I'd like to have a second pair of goggles for audience mode to friends and family. But man, that's $500 more bucks. Maybe the V1s will come down in price used, and I can pick one up for less than $500 at least. I mean, my goodness.
Do you have a smart controller?
Yep. Yeah, I've tried that. It's a little bit of a pain to go through the smart controller, and then from the smart controller I can go through the original white DJI goggles. I can plug the smart controller into my FPV goggles, and then plug that in the smart controller, and then from there go into the white goggles and use that for the audience. But that's a hassle, and every time you change drones or replace a battery, it freezes up, so you got to kind of like unplug it and plug it back in.
Oh, it's
a bit of a pain. Yeah, a lot of cords.
Yeah,
but it's not $500. I've already got it.
Yeah, that's one thing about the DJI goggles. The FPV goggle 2 version 2 that I like is the smart battery instead of the lipo.
Yeah,
that kind of goes in the back of your head.
Yeah, I usually just have an old lithium ion or lipos in my pocket or on the ground. Yeah, all the time forgetting to take it out of the pocket and then dragging it around, and afraid it's going to catch on fire in my pocket.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have.
I mean, it could happen. I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna get cancer in my left butt cheek because I got a lipo radiation going on back there or something. I used to think I was getting that in my leg because when I started getting the iPhone, like my leg would start twitching. And
Mine does that too.
And I
And
thought,
sometimes-
oh no.
Or my leg will twitch and I'll think it's my phone vibrating, but my phone's not even in my pocket.
Yeah, you got like some spasm or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm about to get the same setup that you have in the back, but iFlight versions. Because you've got, is your Rocket, is that a 2-inch?
Yep.
So
Right there.
So I think the one that I just got is a 2-inch that is pretty much the same size as that one, same kind of depth.
It looks like it, yeah.
And then
that's a great size. I mean, that's just so fun, so much fun.
is it? I've flown in my house, and there's too much power from inside my house.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
The Caddx Turtle looks great though on it. And then the one in the middle, that's the crocodile.
That little
one,
guy is the
you can't see what I'm pointing at.
the little bitty middle one is a Thinking P16.
Okay.
Even that's really too powerful in the house, for me anyway. But
I've got a Cinnabee coming, and I think it's the same size as the Mobula.
Yeah. I don't remember what size props those are.
Let me see if I can.
Is there 1-inch? I don't know.
I'll show you what I'm getting. It's funny, iFlight went on, they sent me DHL shipping tracking, and it doesn't work. And then they went on Chinese New Year. So
man,
they've got this message saying they'll be back on the 17th. I'll probably get the drone before then, but I have no way of knowing when it's coming.
I don't know. I ordered an extra frame for this little guy.
Yeah.
In case I break it. I've already broken part of it. And it's been 2.5 months, and it still hasn't arrived.
Oh, gosh.
So then I bought something else from China 2 months ago, and it took 2 months to get here.
Wow.
But then a couple things came in like 2 weeks, so who knows?
Oops.
Yeah, that's about the same exact form factor.
Yeah, this is the little Cinnabee. 64 grams.
Yeah.
What I like about it, it's got this nice big plastic piece on the bottom. So if I drop it down in a puddle, and it's got a Caddx Turtle on it, so the video in this drone is actually better than my 2-inch quad that I just got, because I said it had a turtle in it, but it doesn't have a turtle. It has a Vista, and it doesn't have any onboard DVR.
Right. Yep.
But this one does, and it's like half the size. But I'm afraid it's going to fly like the Tello, and like as soon as I take it outside, the wind's going to like shoot it. So this one has 1.5 millimeter blades. So what is that?
I think that's the shaft size, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because it took me forever to figure out what mine were, 1.5 or 1.6 or 1. Because you can buy props of 2 different millimeter shaft sizes.
I'm sorry, it says 40 millimeter. It says 40 millimeter right next to it.
Convert that.
That's 1.5-inch blades.
Down with metric, don't give an inch.
All this metric crap's driving me nuts.
There goes your international audience. Bye-bye.
Yeah, see y'all. We use Imperial over here. No. But that's something that like a lot of the drones that I get, they start out in metric, and I have to switch them all over because everything here is, you can fly up to 400 feet, or when I'm building missions, like everything I do is in feet, but all of my missions are in metric systems. So I can go up like 60 meters or 150 meters. I think it's 150 meters is like 400 feet. And
that's the only one I know. But 'cause for a while, I think the DJI Go 4 app, it stayed on meters even if you selected feet, the altitude part. I think they finally fixed that. But
yeah. All right. Nacho's in the house already getting dirty. Jake Eves, welcome to the channel from the city of Kingston, Ontario, Canada. Nice. They use the metric system, don't they? I think they do.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So do your McDonald's have a quarter pounder, or is it a McRoyale?
Two-stone burger, whatever the equivalent is.
You remember that from Pulp Fiction, where John Travolta kept saying, "Do you know over in Europe they don't have a quarter pounder at McDonald's. They have the McRoyale because of the metric system." And that was this whole conversation he was having in the car. All right, so they have the metric system in Canada. So I hope I didn't offend you that I don't like the metric system. It's just I spent 44 years of my life looking at other forms of measurement. It's nothing against the metric system. Actually, I think, aren't we the only ones that use imperial? Who else uses imperial? I feel like
England still use it for weights.
I don't know. I know they use rubbish instead of garbage.
That's right.
When I was on British Airways going to Israel, the lady was like, "Can I take your rubbish?" I thought that was the cutest thing. Hey, you can take my rubbish. Call it. But I didn't like when I got into, I forget what the airport is there, Heathrow maybe. But when we got to London, I couldn't find the bathroom because all the bathrooms said WC on them because they were the water closet. They weren't restrooms, they weren't bathrooms, they were water closets. And I was, when you're in an airport, they have like, gate C or, concourse G, they got all these letters that kind of mean things, but WC was a water closet. So Jake hates math. So no offense there. And I was right. It is Heathrow. That was an interesting trip. Have you ever been to, have you ever been anywhere out of the country, Brent?
I have not.
So you're local through and through.
Yep.
I went on a mission trip to Israel for a month, and we went over New Year's. And so I celebrated New Year's 3 times. Once in the airport or in the airplane on the way to London. Then we celebrated New Year's in London because we had a 12-hour layover. And then when we got in the airplane, we kept going over time zones, and they were like, "Happy New Year" again. I thought it was the coolest thing.
That'd be an excuse for a lot of people to get liquored up.
Yep.
3 times in a row.
Yep. I was just looking for people to kiss. I was like, we're supposed to kiss people every time. No, I didn't. But yeah, that was a good time. So who do we got in the house? We've got Steven Drones is here. Eat More Possum is here on screen. Nacho Rolling is here. And Jake Eves is here. And I think that's everybody. So are you planning on getting the FPV drone?
Nah. Too much money.
Yep. Do you think it's going to be like $1,500?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
I'm hoping if there's a version that doesn't have the controller and the goggles, I think that's at least $900 of it right there. But we'll see.
I'm sure the batteries will be about $60 each, at least.
Hopefully they'll last longer than one flight, like my batteries.
Yeah.
I'll spend $60 on a DJI battery all day if they stop charging when they're charged and they're accurate on the screen.
I put a mount on my e-bike that I mounted the SMO on.
Yep.
I did a little test around the neighborhood. Worked really well. It's nice and stable. But then I took it to the farm. I was going to do some off-road to see how well it worked on the rough cow trails. But I didn't make it there with my TPU mount. I had the camera.
That sucks.
Yeah. I put it on my GoPro chest strap, my mount.
Uh-huh.
And that's where it sat, here on my desk. So didn't get to try that out on the rough terrain.
I've got something in the works in my head. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. But all these naked GoPros and the naked Insta360 that you've got, they don't have any battery power that goes to them. Like you have to like connect them to a lead on your, was it on your flight controller? Is it flight controller or the main board?
Either main board or, you know, I spliced one of my drones into the battery leads. Had a connector on that.
So something that I've been thinking about is all these tiny drones have these little one cell, you know, like micro lipos, and the drone will run for like 3 minutes or something like that. I was wondering if you could come up with some sort of battery that slides into the naked GoPro, and then you could use it on any drone without having to solder in a lead onto your drone to plug it into the lipo. Because my Bumblebee back there, it can handle a full-on GoPro. So surely it could handle a naked GoPro and 2 lipos, like a tiny lipo and a bigger lipo. Or
Yep.
So
maybe you could 3D print some sort of thing to screw in or glue to the back of the naked GoPro that would you could slide a battery into, maybe.
Yep. Because a lot of the naked GoPros they've got this bulge that sticks out behind the lens. Because the circuit board's thin, but the lens is actually pretty thick. So there's like this little bulge that sticks out.
Mm-hmm.
I think even your SMO does it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Or it's flat on the back.
Yeah, it has a bulge. Yes, it does. And that bulge kind of keeps you from, if you have a big battery, it kind of makes it pushes it backwards towards the rear because of that bulge. But that kind of, I mean, the weight of the camera in the front and the battery in the back, I don't think that's a problem. But yeah, it does have a bulge.
So I was thinking you could put like a little mount on the naked GoPro for one of those tiny little lipo batteries, because the flight time of my drone is only like 5 minutes, and the battery on a GoPro is rated for hours. So there's way more juice in that battery than it needs for that 5-minute flight. So if you had a smaller lipo, in my head, all that works out. Like I only need it to work for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and like the SMO, if you crash and the battery gets ejected, your power cuts to your SMO, and the recording is corrupted.
Yeah. So
I don't know if the GoPro is the GoPro the same way. Do you know? If that's true, then having its own battery would alleviate that. If your main battery gets thrown.
Yeah, and you could have a lot like what you were working out on your SMO to keep the connection from breaking. You could make a stronger connection Even like converting it to like an XT30 or something like that, you know, one of those nice rigid connections instead of those little white, all those balance
Yeah.
connections.
I bought a bunch of extra ones.
They're so cheap.
I have to solder them together though, because these are, yeah.
And the little snap that snaps it in is so strong that when you're pulling it apart, I feel like I'm just going to shatter it every time I pull them apart.
Yeah.
But the XT30 and the XT60, I think those are superior connections because you can get, for one, you can get your thumbs on them. And then, you know, they form fit. You can put them together. But, so anyway, I'm ignoring the chat. Jake Eve showed up and I'm ignoring him. He's talking about London a lot. Oh, here we go. That's for you, Brent.
These are Mavic 2s right here. A Mavic 2 Zoom, Mavic 2 Pro on the edges. This here, that's the Gep RC Crocodile Baby. Gep RC Thinking P16. It's a really weird name. Thinking P16. What were they thinking? And then there's Gep RC Rocket Plus. That has a DJI Air unit. That's got a DJI. That's a Caddx Vista with a what's that camera? Forget. And that's got a Vista. And that's an old Phantom 2 Vision Plus body. I sold all the guts out of it. It's just a frame. That was my first DJI drone right there.
So you parted it out?
Yes. By the time I sold it, it had depreciated so much. It worked perfect. You could only sell it for about $200. People are only, willing to pay $200 for that. So I parted it out, individual part, the Wi-Fi module, the motors, certain main board. I made $900. $900 on an obsolete drone.
That's awesome.
It took a while, but
that's awesome. That's awesome. I need to do that with mine. I just need to rip them out like my 360 cameras, like the lenses that are still pristine.
Oh, yeah.
I'd probably make more on the lenses than I would on the whole camera.
Yeah, like the Wi-Fi module in that, after about 4 years, they were burning out. So they were kind of rare, and DJI didn't make them anymore. So I was able to sell just the module for $250 because mine still worked. So yeah, if you can find parts that are in demand.
That's awesome. Let's see what else we got. Some drones I haven't. Jake's got military drones. Oh, I found a price on the Parrot Anafi USA. How much do you think it cost?
$6,000.
That's close, actually.
Because that's what the DJI's new Enterprise. It has the higher resolution thermal. It's about 6,000, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Pop this up on the screen. $7,000.
Oh.
But it's beefy. Like, this is what I wanted the Parrot Anafi to be.
That's got a pretty good zoom lens too, right?
It's got a good zoom lens on it. It's got a FLIR camera. And I'm not sure what the third one does. Let's see. It's got a 32-minute flight time, and it's waterproof. You can fly it in the rain. That's why I really want it. 2.48 mile transmission range, which isn't that great nowadays. So it's got a 21 megapixel zoom camera, a 32 times zoom, which is probably a crappier camera, but it's 32 times zoom,
Yeah.
and then a thermal camera. Deploys in less than 55 seconds. No built-in no-fly zone, so you can fly it anywhere. Go Parrot.
Yeah, right.
It only has 79 decibels, 20 feet off the ground. So just like the original Paradinafi, it is quiet.
Nice.
And then IP53. I'm not sure how good that is, but I think it's at least water sealed.
Splash guard, splash proof.
Yep. Yeah, and it looks like all of the motors are covered, which is cool. And they've got like sharp bristles on the blades to like cut through bugs and, or in your case, castrate a cow.
That's right.
But look how much beefier it is compared to the Anafi. Like it's fat older brother. And the gimbal is solid compared to the cheap plastics of the Paradinafi. Like it's a legit gimbal.
Look at those props, though, how they designed those. Those are unique. Kind of flat like a...
They're like butter knives.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Serrated and got the tips. Huh.
I wonder if that like cuts through leaves and stuff like that. Like
I think this serration's on the trailing edge, so it's actually on the back of the prop.
Oh.
Yeah.
So do you think that spreads out the air?
Makes it quiet. I bet that's part of it being quieter.
Oh, instead of putting the opposite tips that DJI is putting on theirs. There's its guts. I wonder if it still has the crappy SD card, or if it actually has a decent SD card holder. But I was just looking around on the internet and I saw that and I was like, man.
Those thermal drones just don't seem to be coming down in price. Or very slowly anyway, because they...
I kind of don't understand that. Because I get the thermal technology is pretty cool. But the cameras themselves are really poor resolution. And then like you can get a thermal device for your iPhone for like $100 that plugs into your iPhone. But all these thermal cameras are, maybe there's a lot of technology to make them small like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something to do with the distance. Okay, so I guess the iPhone one are a little bit more. They're like $200 and $300. But you could put that on your FPV drone. Put an old iPhone up there. There's a micro USB version and a USB-C version. Surely you could figure out like a little Raspberry Pi recorder or something. Little Android. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up now.
Can guests share their screen? Is that
Yeah. I think I have to approve it, but you can.
Which monitor does it pull from, I wonder?
It lets you choose a Chrome tab or like it lets you choose which monitor to
Oh,
pull.
okay.
And then you can choose to share your audio or not. But if it has any copyrighted music on it, don't share your audio.
Okay.
Macho's been playing with the Raspberry Pi. He's been using it to do time lapses on his 3D printer.
Oh, probably with Octoprint, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd love to set that up on mine. That's so cool. I used to have a Raspberry Pi. I don't think I gave it to my nephew. Well, I don't know which screen is which. Oh, not that one. How about that one?
Don't show your bank account or anything. I did that at work.
Oh,
And I was presenting, but people just started talking. And so my screen was up for about 10 minutes and I hadn't even talked. Like everybody was just having a conversation. And I was just presenting my screen. And it was right before lunch. So I checked my bank account to see what kind of lunch I could have,
oh yeah.
whether it was the McDonald's 2 cheeseburger meal or if I could get like some hot chicken or something.
If
And,
somebody else was paying attention, they could have had a really good lunch off of your dime.
oh, there wasn't much there. They kept sending, like, people
Oh,
kept
yeah.
chatting on the side. They were like, "You're sharing your screen. You're sharing your screen."
Hey,
Yep, let me get that out of the way.
and I 3D printed this battery tray. So I put a lithium ion down there to power the camera. Kind of strapped it in with a battery strap that GEPRC sends thousands of battery straps every time you order something. So I had an extra. So yeah, because like you said, you got to have some way to power it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just stuck a battery on that tray. One thing was my camera was not quite level, so my whole video was tilted about 20 degrees. And you can't, unlike like maybe the 360R, there's no way to select horizon mode.
Oh,
As far as I could tell, I never could find it, and other people were saying you couldn't, which is unfortunate because with the Insta360 Go, you can actually tilt it
yep.
360. Of course, it's a round image as well, though, so it's essentially a round image on the Go.
Yep.
So
Oh, I know why. So this is your SMO 4K is not the 360 camera. It's the 4K version, which is just like GoPro.
yeah. So what I did, fortunately, I took the video in 2K, so I was able to crop it and then tilt it in DaVinci and level it out. But it stabilized it great. Pretty impressed. But it does
You
help
said-
to remember the mount.
Yeah. Didn't you say that they removed in the latest firmware update, they removed the stabilization?
Yeah. A lot of people were upset because they had upgraded. One guy had a job to do for a real estate company with his. And that very day he upgraded and lost stabilization. But they finally responded and they're putting out a new update to fix it.
I was looking for that earlier. I was looking on their website just to see if I could report on that or but I couldn't find any of their firmware update. Like there's no firmware updates on Insta360 website for that camera. So is it just in the app that it did it, or?
I think they updated through the app, yeah. But today they were saying check the website for the new firmware, so I don't know where you would go
Let me
to
see.
check that. And I'd want to be sure that I've got the newest firmware and not screw up my camera.
So usually they have everything in their download section, and they do it by camera, but it's not on here.
Yeah.
It might be here.
Maybe it's on Beta FPV's site.
But I did update the Insta360 Studio today, and I was a little nervous because of what you said yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, should I update this right now? Something else I thought that was interesting, that there is Insta360 1R Enterprise firmware. So I'm wondering what the difference is between the 1R Enterprise and the 1R that's up here in the consumer section. Like, does Enterprise give me some extra stuff?
Yeah, why?
Oh, it says like, oh, compatible with the Matterport.
Oh, for doing like virtual tours and stuff?
So I just answered my own question. I want a Titan so bad. But I don't have anything to film, so. But I would love to play with it. So, besides all the little quirks, are you enjoying the SMO 4K?
Yeah. I haven't flown it a whole lot, but the footage looks pretty good. Needs an ND filter if you have bright light, because you get the stuttering, you know, that you get when you have high frame rate with lots of light.
Oh yeah.
And I did finally get the ND filter replacement after breaking it on the first flight.
That's what I'm worried about, getting my little iFlight out that I just got, the 2-inch. Like, for me, it's either going to be bouncing around stuff in the house, which it's already hit walls, it's hit the ceiling, it's hit all kinds of stuff. But I love the tiny perspective of it. It's like you're flying a little bug around the house.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go from that to an open field, which I'm used to the Bumblebee just kind of bouncing off of the grass. But I'm afraid that tiny little thing, if it bounces, it's small enough that it'll like bounce into the water puddle, or it like, I'm afraid I'm just going to hit something horrible and it's going to fall 30 feet and just shatter. It's got a really nice carbon fiber body, so I'm not going to bust the body, I don't think. It's got these tiny little arms. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I flew this little guy once outside. I haven't flown it much at all, but it was a little windy. It was kind of in some trees, so it kind of broke the wind, but I lost control of it, and it fell through a tree, about 5 different limbs hit on the way down. Broke the casing off of it, broke the rear off of it, so I had to do a little bit of repair. But
yeah.
Did you hear that Dad Random broke a lens on his Flywoo Explorer? I think it was his first flight, maybe second flight. He actually lost it. He had to hike a couple of miles.
Is that the one where he landed in a bunch of rocks? Or is that a different video?
That may be the one.
He said it's the walk of shame only if you can't find the drone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that video.
And he broke the lens, but he said the lens only cost like $8. So
Does it screw on?
Yeah.
That's great. I think my Caddx Turtle version 2 has a glass lens on it. So the first thing I'm going to do with that is drive it right into a fence pole or something, shatter it.
Yeah, this rocket here, I hit a pump jack with it, a metal pump jack, full speed, with those aluminum guards. saved it. So but
That's awesome.
if I would hit it square on though, it still would hit the lens, but I hit it at an angle, and of course those guards are all bent.
Yeah, I noticed mine, like it has curved. It has a curved nose, but the caddx isn't curved. It's square, and so a corner of it sticks out of the top. So if I hit something dead on, it's not going to break the camera. But if I hit it at the right angle, or if I go up and hit something, it's going to probably shatter it.
I printed a 3D printed like a guard for mine. Wherever it is, there it is.
So one of them's printed?
Well, you know, I said if you hit it square on, it would probably break the lens. So I printed a little, like a cone kind of thing to go around it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't save it if I hit something really hard.
What do they call those? Like you put it on the front of your lens to keep the light out of it. Lens hood?
Yeah, there you go.
Little lens hood?
It was escaping my mind. I couldn't figure it out. Yeah, lens hood.
Well, Jake's heading out. Thanks for joining. Thanks for chatting a lot. Sorry I ignored some of the things you said. Brent's talkative tonight, so I got to take advantage of it. Kingston had a B-2 visit yesterday. Is that a bomber? I'm not sure what a B-2 is. He's probably talking about it up here. Oh, it is a bomber. B-2 Spirit Stealth Bomber. That's cool. I used to work, I'm a software engineer, but I was also a web designer for a long time. And I had an office in the corner of a building right at the end of a runway by our airport. And it's not like the commercial flights, but it's more of like the special hangars. And so every time there was a Titans game downtown, the Blue Eagles or whatever jets at the time would take off on that runway. And I thought it was the coolest thing because they would kind of fly like normal speed, like I'm about to take off. And then right when they got to the end of the runway, they would like turn straight up and like shoot up in the air. And it was like right in front of my office. So like I didn't get anything done when they were taking off. And then they'd fly by and you'd hear them, but you couldn't see them because the speed of sound's different than the speed of light. And so, man, it was just cool watching all that happen. So Mario Monti's in the house. He's graced us with his presence tonight. It's pretty awesome. So Mario, how are you doing on weight loss and keto and air frying and all that stuff?
Mario needs to eat a little more meat. He doesn't eat enough meat.
I think he's made of meat. I think I'm made of coffee. Coffee and cheeseburgers.
My stomach growls every time I go onto his Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to try some of his wings. So, so Brent, on the farm, how does what's going on this time of year? Are the nuts growing? About to grow? Like harvest is in the fall, right?
Yeah, typically we'd be pretty much over with it by now, but the early freeze took them all out this year, so we didn't have any. Maybe a few 100 pounds is all.
No, that's nuts.
So to speak. Yeah, and then I don't know if you saw in one of my videos where I was flying in that orchard, the wild hogs have come through and torn up the ground under the trees. I mean, just made it into a moonscape, you know, as they're rooting around, digging for nuts and grubs. It looks like the surface of the moon. It's just terrible.
Oh wow.
And you can't harvest pecans with that because the pecans fall in the holes, and your harvester can't pick up the pecans. So then you got to plow the orchard again and smooth it over. Then they come right back and do it again. So
So they're digging for grubs?
Yeah, or whatever, grubs, roots, pecans that are under the ground.
Is there anything to deter them? Like
bunch of lead,
a
whole bunch
fence
of
or
lead.
something? Oh, shoot them all?
Yeah, easier said than done. They're pretty smart. Like they came into my parents' yard and they never knew it.
Wow.
Dug up part of the yard. If we got a farm dog, where was he? Lazy thing. Just
Well, he's not a very good visual observer either.
no. He'll chase the coyotes, but he won't chase the hogs right next to his doghouse.
You need to hang a bunch of bacon. Just warn them.
There you go. Yeah,
Say, if you mess up my yard, I'll turn you into bacon.
that's right. Just put it out of the reach of the dog.
Yep. Oh yeah. Or just kill one of the hogs and then hang it up as a, like the headhunters would do, where they put the heads of the
hog head on
soldiers on a big spear. That's probably morbid. So Mario's down about 90 pounds from his original. That's awesome. I go anywhere from 10 pounds under to about 20 pounds over is about what I kind of teeter on. This sitting in my desk all the time and not ever leaving this room is really, like, I feel like I'm back in college and I got my freshman 15 back on. So when spring hits, I'm going to start going on walks and
E-bike. I used to think that e-bikes, how can you get exercise on an e-bike? But you can actually get exercise. I realize you can set did yours have like a pedal assistance mode?
Yeah, it's got a halfway mode.
Yeah.
Yep. What I like about it is I put it on. So we've got a really big hill coming up our neighborhood, and I put it on full assist. I still have to pedal, but it'll make it up that hill.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the time I put it on pedal assist and I ride my bike throughout the neighborhood and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, you can, like my neighborhood's hilly too. So I set it on pedal assist of 1 and I can still get a decent workout. And if I get lazy, I can crank the throttle.
Yeah. So I had to block rim job for 5 minutes.
Oh, rim job.
So I'm going to go take him off the channel.
So Nacho says he isn't using Octoprint.
Oh, I missed that. So Nacho went old school. What does that mean? What's more old school than a Raspberry Pi and coding it? Like open source software that you just throw on a hacking computer. He's got straight up MS-DOS on there.
Good old days, huh?
Yep. Remember when Windows was an application on your computer? And
You had to put it on with floppy disks. Had to load it with floppy disks.
Yeah. And you had MS-DOS, and then you had Windows. And when you go over to Windows, and all it had was like a calculator and a couple other apps, but I can't remember what it had. And then they came out with Windows 3.1, and it was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Remember the days when it was just DJI Go app,
Yeah.
Phantom 2? So long ago, right?
Yep.
Way back there in 2014.
Yep. And then didn't they go from Go to straight 4?
Go and Go 4. It's amazing how
Where
much
did
the
1
Go
through
4
3
app.
go?
What's that?
Where did 1 through 3?
Good question. They needed
I
1
never
through 3 because they had like 15 different drones on the Go 4 app, and it got
Yeah.
bigger and bigger. I used to be able to run it with the Mini 2, iPad Mini 2, just fine.
Mhm.
Before long, it started choking the Mini 2 and wouldn't run. I got a Mini 4, and then after about a year or two, it started choking that. So Mini 5, and it still works.
Nice.
I think they're in collusion with Apple.
I got mad when the Paradenofi came out, and you had to get Free Flight 6. Still
Is
don't
that
know
their
where
app?
the first 5 free flights went.
Okay.
It was Free Flight, and then it went straight to Free Flight 6. And so all of my missions for my Parrot Bebop and my flight path, like flight plan, all that stuff wouldn't carry over to the new app. So I had to buy flight plan again, and all of my missions that I had created, I couldn't bring them over.
Oh
So,
man, you had to buy it again?
yep. And it was like $20. It was like $19.99
Yeah.
for the first 3 months. And since I had a YouTube channel, I paid full price for it. And then I did a video on my channel that they were only 99 cents. Like they chopped $19 off of it,
Oh man.
which they didn't recoup all the people that bought it originally.
I did buy the $40 drone link package.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Supposedly it's a one-time charge.
Yeah. Yep. Now I need to find a cheap way to make maps.
Yeah. I
'Cause
made a
that's-
map of our pecan orchard for about $7,
Yeah.
but that was using 99 free points that
Yeah.
they give to new users on Maps Made Easy. I used the drone link images, fed those into Maps Made Easy, and the difference was $7
Yeah.
based on how many photos you need for your flight plan. Of course, it depends on how high you are up above the ground and which drone you're flying and what kind of resolution you want.
Yeah. That Mini doesn't have good resolution at all. And that map turned out great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think you need good resolution if you've got 80 images.
Yeah. Closer to the ground you fly, it'll take more images. It'll cost more
Yep.
because they charge by image. At least that's what drone Maps Made Easy does.
So maybe you should do it from 400 feet up in the air.
Yeah. If I didn't need the, what was it, point so many centimeter resolution or inches, 0.4 inches? I don't remember. 4 inches per pixel? Maybe
Yeah.
it's 4 inches per pixel.
Yeah. But I need a cheaper version of that.
Now, I think there's some app you can download your computer that's kind of open source, and you can crunch all that yourself on your PC. It'll do all the stitching if you have a powerful PC.
Do you know what app that is?
I'd have to look. I got a local drone guy in our group who does maps for a living, and he was going to try it. It's kind of not user-friendly, from my understanding. Yeah, Stephen Drone says he had a Tandy. We used Trash 80s, TRS 80s in our high school computer class.
We had a Texas Instruments
Oh yeah, what was it?
A. What was that? TI 59 4A. If that, I don't know. That's in my head, but I don't know if that's right. TI 59. Surely that's not right. No, that's a diaper bag. That's not what we used. But I remember it didn't have a disc drive. It had a tape player, and you would record like it was like modem sounds onto the tape.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't play at normal speed. It played at a slower speed so you could get more data on a cassette tape.
Yeah, that's the way my Commodore 64 was. Exact same concept. We were too cheap to buy the disk drive.
Let's see here. That'd be awesome if I found it. They've got Texas Instruments ended up going into the calculator business. Oh, that's it. TI 99 4A. On good old Wikipedia. I'm going to show that. That's what we had, except ours was black. But it had this, you didn't have a monitor, so you had to plug it up to your TV. And it had cartridges that went in here.
Oh, okay.
Man, that's crazy.
Was that at school or just at your house?
That was what my dad had in his office. And then he had a modem that it had the ear hole and the mouth hole, and you stuck your phone on it. You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, what has this night turned into? What was your first video game system?
Atari 2600.
Yeah, that was mine too.
I played a lot of games on
ColecoVision.
Oh yeah, that's classic.
And I used to love playing baseball on it. My favorite games was there was a Spider-Man game, a baseball game, and a what was it? I don't remember what. Oh, we had the little gosh, I don't remember what they were called, but they had the joystick, but then they had the
paddles.
Yeah. And so there was a game that had it was like a fort in all four corners, and you had a ball, and you would it's kind of like ping pong, but you'd hit the ball and it would chip away at everybody's fort until you had the last one.
Yeah.
That's a good time.
So Sean, in these headphones, I can't hear myself. Is there a way to fix that?
I'm not sure. I think that's on purpose, but
it's kind of weird not being able to hear myself. But I noticed the guests can stream in 1080. Looks like.
Yep.
I don't know if I want to be in that high resolution.
So JC asks, what's the show topic about tonight? It's about nothing. We are, if you click on the blue link at the top of the chat that's pinned, you can join the chat and we can talk. It's 7:54, so we're going to go for about 6 more minutes, and then I'm going to call it a night. But I've talked about specific things for so long that I just kind of wanted a hangout session tonight, just because I didn't have much time to plan tonight. So thanks for hanging out, and thanks for coming, JC. Welcome to the chat. You're always welcome.
Howdy, JC.
And we've got Eat More Possum in the house. We've been talking about his drones and his soldering skills. That's another thing I'm worried about. I haven't soldered since college. I feel like it's pretty easy. I feel like you just,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but you heat up, like let's say there's like the motherboard. You heat up the lead on the motherboard, and then you touch the solder to it, as opposed to melting the solder and letting it drip on it.
Yeah. You put a little bit of solder on your tip, and then ideally you want to touch the solder pad on the motherboard and the wire at the same time, and then flow the solder around them, and then remove
Get
the
it.
soldering iron.
It's not magnetized, but is it like drawn to the heat? So it like pulls itself to wherever you
Yeah,
touch?
usually it will. And you don't want it to be a mound. You want it to be kind of convex a little bit. You don't want a big glob on there,
Sure.
and you don't want to blow on it because that'll make a cold solder
Splatter.
joint. Yeah. So just
Yeah.
and you don't want it to move until it dries or until it cools.
Mhm.
Otherwise, that can make it a weak joint.
And if you mess up, you can always pull the solder back off, right? Heat it up and suck it back out with the little. I feel like we had like a little turkey baster that would but it was a tiny like
Yeah, if you mess up. Yeah.
pin-sized turkey baster.
Mhm.
So you melt it and then you suck it back up and then you try again.
They also have solder braid, which will absorb the solder. Kind of like capillary action, I guess.
Mario's got some tips. You never want to melt the solder directly on the iron. You want to heat up the lead on the pad and have the thought of melt on that. And have it melt on that. Direct was a famous quote from I think these are out of order. I'm not sure. Solder should melt right towards the heat of the iron. Very much like soldering a copper pipe. Now I did solder copper pipe onto our hot water heater. I did do that.
Yeah, when I said put solder on the tip, I meant you do what they call tinning the tip. You tin the tip, put just a little layer on the soldering iron,
Okay.
but you actually flow the solder on the joint that you're doing, like Mario said there. Heat up both the wire and the motherboard, and then touch the solder and let it flow around all the metal.
I saw where one guy, he put a little bit of solder on the board, a little bit of solder on the connector, and then he connected them and then heated them up, and the solder just kind of became one.
Yeah. I'm sure there's probably about 1,000 YouTube videos demonstrating proper solder technique.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured that'd be pretty easy to learn on YouTube.
And you have to lick the solder before you do that.
Is that
No.
a joke?
Yeah.
Don't lick the solder.
It's got lead in it.
That's got to be harmful. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to say, Brent?
Steven Drones, you can keep that snow.
Yeah.
I'll trade you some ice for some snow.
When I was in college, it snowed like 20-something inches. And so the first couple days it was powder, but every day the sun would come out, but it was still like 15 degrees. So the sun would melt just the top layer.
Oh, yeah.
And then it would freeze again. And so we had this huge hill behind this Baptist church. And one of the guys from the power mechanics lab at the college, he brought the hood of a car. He put it on the back of a pickup truck and drove it out to the hill. And we probably had like 15 people on that hood all going down the hill at the same time. And the ice was so strong that it held that weight.
Wow.
I think we compacted. I think we made a ditch. But
Bet that was a rare experience. Was that
Yeah.
was that in Indiana or Tennessee?
That was in Kentucky. Berea, Kentucky is where I went to
Okay.
college. But which is kind of rare. Like usually you get like 3 inches, 4 inches here and there, but that year it snowed like 20 something inches. All of our cars were blocked in, so we just had to walk everywhere. But I mean, it was so dangerous that there's on the underside of the hood,
Mm-hmm.
there's all this sharp metal,
Yeah.
pressed aluminum, I don't know what it is, steel but like pressed metal that has all these
Heavy.
little sharp edges.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of holes to grab onto, but some of the kids were idiots. They didn't have kids. I mean, I was the same age, but they didn't have gloves. So like there's slicing their hands on rusty metal. I mean, we were idiots, but it was a good time. And then at the bottom of the hill, they made this kind of slalom ramp that kind of shot up in the air. And so we thought it would be fun to go down on the sled, standing up, and then hit that slalom. And I remember coming down and I landed flat on my back. Like I went up and then just fell straight down, right on my back and my tailbone.
Ooh.
I don't think I could walk for a week. Like it was just, but I didn't feel it then because I was frozen. But when I went inside and warmed up, all of a sudden I felt all this pain. I thawed out.
Steven Drones, we could also trade you some tornadoes for your snow.
Yeah, I don't like tornadoes.
So your tornado season is right now, right?
Yeah, we have like crazy winds outside right now. Like I've 3 drones that I want to try out, but I don't know how to fly them yet, and I don't have the right conditions to learn. So it's driving me crazy. But yeah. Well, Brent, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull you off the chat.
Okay.
Close this thing out. Everybody say peace out to Brent. There he goes. All right, y'all. Hope you guys liked the chat tonight. It was kind of an impromptu chat with viewers, and Brent showed up, and we spent most of the time talking to him. But hope you guys like this video. Please like, subscribe to the channel. I messed that up, but anyway, y'all get the gist of it. We do this every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central. And yeah, y'all have a wonderful night, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.